Welcome to Docking Bay 327. Today, we're gonna look at how I made this epic entrance for my epic office. Let's get into it. Okay, so this is a huge build. Took a very long time to do it, so I'm gonna keep it at a very high level across how I put everything together. Mainly because I didn't film a lot of it, but also because most of the techniques I've used, I'm either reusing techniques I've used in the past on other builds, or I've stolen them from my maker buddies and they already have videos out on how to do those things. So as we go through the video, I will share links to their YouTube videos on how to do those specific things. So we start out with the exterior wall. I did remove all of the door frame and the baseboards, but that's it. I wanted to build this pocket door frame on the outside of the wall as to not make too many major changes to the construction of the house. Just like everything in my office here, I wanted to be able to remove it if needed somewhere down the road. I built out the frame using 2x4s and 1x3s. And because of the spacing on one of these here, you can see I used pocket screws on the 2x4 vertically up against the wall or perpendicular to it so that it could actually be drilled into a stud on the other side behind the drywall and still give me a strong, sturdy frame. So I realized very early on that the door that I had previously on my office, a regular standard door, was too thick. So I built my own. I used basic 1x3s as a frame and masonite on both sides for the shell. That gave me a very nice thin frame to start with because I'm also adding paneling to both sides. So as you can see here, I designed the pattern in Illustrator on my computer, then printed it out in tiles so that I could then tape all of the papers together, standard printer paper, then trace that out onto the material I would use for the panels. The one side I used more masonite for the Death Star style on the inside of my office, and on the exterior side for the Tatooine style door, I used plywood. Once I got the door installed and everything was working properly, my auto slide came in. Now I found this version on eBay, and again, that's thanks to Ron helping me find that link. And so I purchased it. It's a lot less expensive than the actual quote-unquote auto slide brand, but it's the exact same thing, and it works great. It's basic track that you install on the door, and then the wheel on the auto slider rolls it open and closed. Next, I built out the frame on the exterior side of the pocket door frame because I used XPS foam, Pink Panther foam, to create a stucco Tatooine style wall on the outside of that to cover everything up. You can see here that I did cut one single hole for the door itself so that it would hide a lot of the hardware and be more in universe. Then I used the old spray water and torch technique to create some stone-like texture on the XPS foam. My buddy Dennis from Black Market Outpost and my buddy Derek from Van Oaks Props both have done this, and they have some great videos about that. I'll put those down in the description for you to look at later. I also use my Dremel to just carve out some, notches or whatever. Of course, I had to have a blaster mark, but then just some random, cracks and holes and those sorts of things. Once I had that done, I sealed it with Mod Podge. Now, the first piece covering the door, I didn't add any color to the Mod Podge. That was a rookie mistake. I should have known better. Moving forward for the other pieces, I added just a little bit of black paint. And what that does is allow you to make sure you're covering the entire area good. Plus, it gives you a nice base color to work with, as opposed to just the clear, is how the Mod Podge dries. I then took some Droid and spread it across the areas where there weren't any pre-made textures or cracks or crevices in the foam itself, just to give it another layer of texture. You can see here it looks like my wall has the chicken pox. Then I got some house paint, some beige house paint, and rolled it on all the walls. Oh, I did install the XPS foam onto the frame with liquid nails. The lighting's not very good, so I apologize for that. This is kind of what it looks like. It's just kind of beige, but it's solid. I covered the seams with the Droid X as well. Then it was just time to add some racing stripes to match some of the walls that you see in Galaxy's Edge. I used a roller, but I didn't get the roller super saturated, so I just kind of lightly painted it on there so it wouldn't completely cover it. Looked like it kind of been worn out. And then finally I added some different colors, Mars black, burnt umber, to the wall in different places, mainly on all of the gouges and texture I already had, and then around the panels that I installed. A couple things about the panels. The one here with the orange hazard lights, if you will, that's one of the very first panels I ever made. It took me a very long time with the junky tools that I had starting out, but I was very proud of that. Same with the poster. That poster used to be hanging up in my office here until I replaced it with the work that I did with Martine from Dune Sea Outpost. So I've got his shirt on right here. Now, I also created a couple of other panels out of junk, old plastic inserts for a laptop, I think. Basically just greeblified them, painted them, and then put into the hole, and behind those are the actual wall plugs. So I wanted to be able to remove them if I needed to get access to the other plugs that I hadn't used yet. Then last but not least, I have my gatekeeper droid. So this, again, my buddy Derek helped me with some of the electronics, helped me find the right tutorials to wire up the Arduino Nano, connected it to a LED nano ring, also connected a soundboard with a speaker to it, and I crammed all of those electronics into the eye. It's actually connected to power, so I can light it up, and then there's a button on it that I can activate the sounds from the actual movie A New Hope, where the droid talks to 3PO. So it's a cool little interactive droid as you enter my office.
Goodness gracious me!
By the way, I purchased this Gatekeeper droid from Caleb. I'll put a link to his Etsy shop in the description below. I purchased several other things from him as well that are just fantastic. I'm super thrilled with it. It gives me an epic entrance for my epic office. It turned out really great. Like I said, it took several months. It was very complicated. I took my time, especially on the pocket door, to make sure everything was level and hung properly and sturdy enough to last. Hope you've enjoyed this. Happy Star Wars Day. May the 4th be with you. If you haven't already, please click that like button, hit the subscribe button and the bell so you can be alerted when I push out new content. And until next time, build with what you know and figure out the rest.